As we get closer and closer to a new year, what are the employment trends that job seekers should be aware of in 2016? And in what areas do we expect to see job growth? For more on this, we're now joined by Tracy Wilen. She's the author of Employed for Life, 21st Century Career Trends. Tracy, good to be with you. And the title is very interesting, I think, for people who have at some point in their career been laid off. Employed for Life. Talk to us a little bit about your book and what's it trying to do to help people.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a 360-degree look at employment in the 21st century through the eyes of recruiters, HR executives, and employees who have been able to find jobs and keep employed for life. And I just really delved into some of their how-tos, words of wisdom, and what can we learn to ensure that we are employable for life.
What do you do? What are those words of wisdom?
Well, one of the things is I think, we have shifted into being much more entrepreneurial than in the past. Many of us have relied on the corporation as our job source, but today you have many more options. For example, self-employment, micro-entrepreneurs, franchising have all opened up doors, and it's mostly because we live in a digital world that we can have other options than the traditional ones.
Tracy, how much security, though, is there in that for people in the sense that if you're self-employed, right? I mean, particularly in the United States, you wouldn't have health care coverage. It's a lot to kind of set up your own business. You might be employed for life as self-employed, but it might be very difficult.
So, the job growth is actually in small firms and faster growing firms if you think about where the employment is. So what I encourage young people to do is to look not only at the large traditional firms, but also look at the medium-sized firms and some of the smaller firms that may not be public. In addition, to keep your eye on what kind of skills and expertise do you have so that you can actually start to think about your own self-employment. So there is no one right answer. There are a lot of options that people can explore today, which is different than in the past.
Tracy, I'm curious as well, a lot of the time we always talk about skills, which I want to get to in a second, but we also maybe don't talk enough about the character of people in terms of being a great employee, whereby if there's, quite frankly, cutbacks, you're not going to be the one that's going to get cut. What's your view in terms of what you've seen in terms of really the personalities that really do continue to be able to stay on at these firms when there are cutbacks? What do you have to be like?
That's right. You have to actually treat your job as if you were the CEO of your job. You have to be much more entrepreneurial about your own job, which is, how do I develop the skills and expertise and take ownership of my own career? That can be through lateral moves. That can be joining cross-functional teams. That may be needing to move outside of a firm to another firm. So today we're looking for people who actually, we call it the T-person transdisciplinarity, people who have breadth, depth, and technology skills so that they can lead us in a very volatile, uncertain, complex world.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the areas where you do in fact see job growth. What do we want to be looking at? If people are looking for jobs in 2016, what do they want to look at?
Well, I actually look at some of the trends, where are the trends going, because that's where the job creation is. So, for example, both in Canada and the United States, extreme longevity. We're living longer. In fact, in Canada, there's more people now over 65 than under the age of 15. So all of this, right, as we age, that will create more jobs and services for this population. The second area I looked at is actually technology, and I think technology will continue to evolve and create jobs. And the third area, which is actually pretty new for many of us globally, is this whole idea of security. And there's many components of security where we actually are seeing job creation.
Tracy, I'm wondering as well, it's interesting to talk about the fact that people are living longer, therefore they might want to work longer as well. What are some of the pieces of advice if you're a senior and you want to get a job?
Well, if you're a senior and you want to get a job, well, number one, the question is, are you working? And is it that or are you looking for a job? And where is your core skills and expertise? Many seniors are volunteering and then transitioning those volunteer jobs into full-time employment. Many are jumping onto this new demand economy that we have, whether it's Uber drivers. I meet many retirees who are Uber drivers, or gig walkers, or mystery shoppers, as well as the sharing economy. Many of the seniors, particularly actually here in the Bay Area, are sharing their homes through opportunities now like Airbnb. for income. But, you know, you can always look at sales. And also sell, you know, franchising or other opportunities that seniors can look at. Also look at the places where seniors are going to go. So for example, I see a number of people 50 plus, 60 plus working in a lot of these retirement communities, senior communities, and actually providing services for seniors, because who's better to know the understanding of a senior than a senior?
Absolutely. Tracy, good to be with you today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's Tracy Wilen. She is the author of Employed for Life, 21st Century Career Trends.